we have to have a health and safety announcement first. Right, in the event of an accident, it's every person for themselves, okay? But I get out first. Oh, sorry. Do I need the...
International symbol for help.
Right, so... You're right, can you see that? Yeah. You okay? Oh my god, it goes right in my ear. Can you hear me without it?
Yeah.
Put it on the floor.
What do you put it on the floor?
That was great.
Turn that first. Yes, please. Turn back up, you're not it.
Yeah, just pop on the floor behind you. Make sure it doesn't go out the door.
Out the door. Now just turn up the volume. So if it goes to 11, does it go to 11? That's sorry. Okay, have a go. Move out now. Output volume. Oh no, hang on, I turned it off here, didn't I? How about now? Oh,
Ooh, wow.
very good. Right, well, welcome everybody to the first bus tour on this, the second Fforde Fiesta, 2008, are we?
Yes.
The last one, 2005. Who was here for the last one? Ray, so you're going to hear all the same jokes again.
We didn't ride on your bus.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Well, you heard all John doing all my jokes.
Yeah.
It'll happen again. It will happen again, yeah. Now, the interesting thing about this is that I think everyone's mind works very associatively, and I could completely forget all the jokes that I did, and then of course as soon as I saw something, the same brain will work in the same fashion. I'll give you the same gag, but I'll try and keep it differently. Anyway, you're all staying at the Hotel De Vere, as you noticed, named after Edward De Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, who, as you all know, was one of the pretenders to the Shakespeare authorship issue. I'm sure you all knew that, didn't you? It's actually true as well. Although I don't think it's named after him. It's probably some name on a corporate name list or something. Anyway, you're actually in the original design of this coach was the one that Goliath used as their transfictional Austin Rover. For those of you not of a UK bent, Austin Rover was of course the name of a car manufacturing company. British Leyland, which was the worst one we ever had, was originally Austin Rover. Or was it the other way around? I don't know. But it's just one of those terrible puns that I like to use. Now, of course, we're now going around one of Swindon's many roundabouts. And I think last time I made a joke about how actually they manufacture roundabouts here in whoa, Armstrong steering. How they actually manufactured roundabouts here in Swindon, and the way they make it is with a machine that is very much like pizza tossing. If you've ever seen that being done, you know, in a really good pizza parlour where they throw it up in the air, it's done exactly the same here. They just get this sort of little green gunge, and it starts off as a ball, and then they throw it up with these huge mechanical hands and twirl it, and then at the top someone like throws trees in it, and when it comes down, they put it on a flatbed lorry and they take it away and they make it into roundabouts. Apparently the French don't like roundabouts. This is another interesting point about... Can you all hear me at the back okay?
Yeah.
You can, okay. Yeah, the French don't like roundabouts, which is very interesting. I'm not sure why. It's probably because they're English. Right, now this is Asda, which of course is just Asda. Asda, is that Walmart? It is Walmart, isn't it? Yeah, it is Walmart. Yeah, like everything else, really. Yeah, I was really against sort of Asda and Walmart and everything like that until I discovered that, of course, they have the power to cut packaging to nil. You know, not for environmental reasons, of course, which is an extra benefit, but of course because it costs money. So trying to teach everyone to pay less money with packaging, of course, is a brilliant idea. So I was kind of vaguely pro-Walmart after that, and then I discovered how much they paid their people, and then I was anti-Walmart again. So, you know, I kind of, you know, swing between the poles. Where is this tour taking us from?
We're going past
Oh, that's right. That's the joke. That's the joke we did last year, wasn't it?
That's the back roundabout.
Thank you, John.
Storage.
So, the storage facility for the roundabout. Eventually. The problem about this bit of Swindon is that you can become entirely lost because all the roads look the same. Because the city planners thought it would be nice to have nice green roads everywhere, and of course all you have now a place that everything looks like everything else, which is rather shame actually. This is the famous U-turning causes accidents sign coming up on our left. I think it's a political statement, actually, rather than a road traffic one. There's been a terrible trouncing for Labour, by the way, and apparently Boris Johnson is now the Mayor of London for anyone who lives in London. Anyone live in London? Hey! There you go, so you've got Boris. Are you happy?
No.
No?
It should be amusing if nothing else.
It should be abusing, or it should be amusing. It should be amusing, yeah. I kind of like Boris Johnson, sort of, yeah, oh gosh, crikey, what do I do now? Don't know. Really, don't ask awkward questions, really, no. We can go in the bus lane. Has anyone seen a film called The Lost Boys?
Yes.
You ever seen The Lost Boys? Great film with Kiefer Sutherland, you know? Now there were two brothers in it called the Fish Brothers. Do you remember them? Yes. Yeah. Well, what happened was when they stopped hunting out, vampires and everything, they opened up a dealership here in Swindon, and that is the Fish Brothers. And that's what they do now. It's amazing, really. But they went from vampires to selling Peugeots, and in fact, they don't just do Peugeots. I think they do. Do they do Renaults and Fords as well? Maybe it's Renaults. Okay. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So that's a lot of famous people who live in Swindon that I'll try and think up some more whilst we're driving around. What else have we got here? Oh my goodness. Now, Swindon is really on the up and up. You can tell that, can't you, when there's a Ferrari and Maserati dealership. The gasometer. And a Porsche dealership. Ooh. Yeah, so anyway, so I'd like to apologise, there's no book out this year. Sorry about that. In fact, I'd really like to be able to write books faster, as I'm sure maybe some of you here might like me too. Unfortunately, I had a little baby. You'll probably see it kicking around. Well, not literally kicking around. You'll see a baby around the weekend. That's little Tabitha, who's 8 weeks old, very cute. And when she starts wailing, so I've told Mary, I said, as soon as she looks like she's going to be wailing or miserable, get her away. So that people don't know that I've got a miserable wailing baby. But she's not. She's very cute. Anyway, my publishers in the UK, actually, my editor rang me up and said, Jasper, I think you should take longer to write this book, right? And I'm going, I thought editors never said this to their writers. And she said, no, I'm amazed I said it myself. But she said, I don't think you're going to get it done because you've got this baby arriving, so you know, take a little bit longer. In fact, why not take a year longer? And I thought, well, fantastic. And then, of course, there was a problem about trying to convince my editors in Penguin, in the States, because they're a bit more aggressive in New York. And I rang her up, Molly, my editor, and I said, hey, Molly, what about if I just don't give you a book this year and you have one next year? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Don't you think that'd be good? That'd be good, wouldn't it, Molly? Good idea, don't you think? And she went, no. No, I want a book, we paid for it. Give us the book now, you know, we'll send the boys round. So then I had to repackage my approach, right? Good bit of sort of, you know, diplomacy, because you have to be a diplomat. You have to wear several hats when you're a writer, because you have to be sort of imaginative and then be a bit of a salesman, and then you have to be a diplomat as well, dealing with editors. So I said, oh look, there's coming up for the gasometer. This is where they actually stack the roundabouts. That was the joke we did last year, wasn't it? Okay. Alright, this reminds me of a joke actually. I'll get back to the editor story in a sec. This reminds me of a joke. It's a very good stand-up comedian. He said, just imagine, you're dressed in orange, you can't get away, and people are asking you questions you have no idea how to answer. You're working at B&Q. I thought that was quite funny actually. In a sort of dark kind of way. Oh my god. I think we're actually quite near the waste disposal site, so the recycling yard, aren't we? Is it? Oh, it's moved. Okay. Alright. Okay, I'll have to just look around, see if I can see anything. What? Oh, the railway? Oh, you pointed. No. Oh, I see. Anyway, so I said to Molly, she said, no. And I repackaged the idea and I said, hey Molly, I've really got a good idea. Why don't we get back on a proper grown-up writing schedule, right? Where I deliver you a book in July of one year, and then you publish it in July of the next year, right? Because that's how it's meant to work. Because at the moment, the way I've been writing, I've been doing a book a year, and I've been delivering it in May, and then everyone's been running around like lunatics trying to get it published by July. And I'm running around like a lunatic trying to get it written by May. So she went, yeah, this could be quite good, this. So that's what we did. So now I have a year to write a book instead of 3 months. So I don't know whether the quality will get any better. I doubt it, but Anyway, so we're just coming underneath the Fforde. Clearly, actually, there are obviously a lot of roundabouts being stored here. I think maybe there's a glut, perhaps, at the moment, or alternatively, because there's a big strike going up in Lossiemouth at the moment, is in fact that the management are stockpiling roundabouts in case there's going to be industrial action, which is what they do, if anyone's read the history of the miners' strike back in 1982, you'll see how everybody really just huge stockpiles of coal, and the miners went on strike in the spring, which is not a good timing, really. You should go on, if you're a miner, you should go on strike in the beginning of the winter, shouldn't you? Anyway, and there wasn't a balance. But anyway, that's enough about that. So what's next, John? Oh, the stadium. Whoa. And then the Magic Roundabout. Now, can we see that Jeff Murray, what's it called? P. Murray Abraham? What is it? Or F. Murray Abraham? Yeah, the F. Murray Abraham building, which we should be able to see. Now, F. Murray Abraham, who killed Mozart, if you remember. No, it's not. It's called the Fforde something building. Anyway, it's the highest building in Swindon, which isn't saying very much. If you've ever seen my website on the 7 Wonders of Swindon, I added a little bit more onto the top. Interestingly enough, somebody actually saw my website about the 7 Wonders, and they came all the way to Swindon because they thought they were real, right? Which I thought was quite amusing. But then what happened is that they gave the tourist board actually a hell of a rollicking, because they thought that they would have been somehow abused, and tricked. So that was great, I thought. Right. But they were looking for the llamas. looking around for the Elgin llamas. It's quite funny. Now where are we? Towards the stadium. Okay. Now the interesting thing about the Elgin llamas, actually, this perhaps won't mean so much to our foreign guests, but about the Elgin marbles and Lord Elgin, that's basically stealing them. This was actually one of my first written ideas that I actually wrote down as a little sort of sketchette and put on the board where I was working at Shepperton Studios. But that's what I used to do. I used to write these little sort of news things, much like I do in the Toad News now, and I used to stick them on the board, and people used to sort of look at them and go, oh, that's quite funny, Jasper. And one of the first things I ever did was actually the Elgin llamas. So in fact it was an idea waiting for an outlet, and then finally when I was thinking of 7 Wonders, and I had a huge long list, and originally actually there were some real wonders actually on the list, but they were just not unusual enough. So the Elgin llamas became it. In fact, I think the bureaucracy of the choosing of the 7 Wonders was going to be one of the 7 Wonders itself, because the bureaucracy was so fantastic and bizarre. Right, so on our right, of course, this is Brunel's famous Great Western Railway, which goes all the way from London to Bristol. Now, anyone here from Bristol? Yeah. Oh, right. Now, the interesting thing about this, a mind full of useless facts, is it's actually halfway between London and Bristol, but not by virtue of distance, but by virtue of revolutions of the engine. Because it's all flat. This is really boring, and I can see people falling asleep already. Because it's all flat from London to here, and then it's downhill to Bristol. So they used to change engines for a lower geared engine to go the rest of the way. So in fact we're closer to Bristol here than we are at London, but from revolutions wise, it's halfway. The things you learn on a Jasper Fforde tour, isn't that incredible? But that was in the good old days of the broad gauge, which was about as broad as this cabin. And they had those, I think you've probably seen those engines which had a huge middle wheel, and that's like a Gooch class engine. I'm not a railway buff or anything, I just collect all these facts. The broad gauge was great, because Brunel said, I think you should be able to go at 30 miles an hour and not spill your tea. It would be nice if we'd managed to do that now, but we're still working on it, apparently. Okay. really needs power steering, doesn't it? Okay. Oh, really? Right. So, I think what we're doing is we're coming up to the Magic Roundabout. Now, the thing about Swindon is that it's the average town in Britain, and because of that, it's actually used as a sort of test bed for a lot of different things. If anyone's had they've got a Switch card or a Maestro card or a Solo card, it was used here first. And they had all the terminals set out here first and everything. So you'll find a lot of experimental road traffic systems are also used in Swindon. Oh, sorry, we've got the stadium. Now this is the incredible 40,000-seater croquet stadium coming up on our left. Oh, it looks like actually there's a match on as well, which is quite exciting. Who is it? Anyway, yeah. So somebody decided. There's the stadium. Somebody said actually that one of the stands was from Aldershot or something. I can't remember. But anyway, there it is. It's quite exciting. Actually, in my world, I saw it more as a sort of miniature Wembley as was, a very sort of Art Deco-ish kind of concretey, wonderful sort of thing. So this is the Magic Roundabout, which links, I think, 5 different roads. And all the little roundabouts at the side, you go the right way round, but the centre one, of course, you go the wrong way round. And I've known people who passed their driving test, and then didn't actually dare to go on the Magic Roundabout for at least 3 or 4 years. I also know people who got onto the Magic Roundabout and couldn't get off for 3 or 4 years. And I think there is that blue car over there. Yeah, that's been stuck on the Magic Roundabout now for nearly 2 years. And what they have to do... Oh, no, he's getting off. Wow, that's amazing. What they have to do is they have to get, cans of petrol and actually just sort of, hand it through the windows and fill it up. And like food and, nappies and stuff. There you go, you see. It always tricks people out. And that's a police training day, look. This is the Magic Roundabout. Actually, that is the Magic Roundabout police. And they patrol the Magic Roundabout for people going the wrong way round the roundabouts. Very exciting. It looks a lot better from the air, but unfortunately this isn't a flying bus, so we can't actually do that. I don't know what else to say about the Magic Roundabout. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Are we going to go around the middle? No, I don't think so. No, don't. Oh. That means changing direction. No. Yeah, your arms won't do it, will they? Your arms won't. No, don't. It's all right. Sorry. We can imagine it. Just imagine it. Just imagine it. Where it says we're business. Oh, look at that. We're business blooms there, Canbury Park. Hi. Got a bit of British gumption there. Now look at that.
You crazy tourist.
And now you see you're going. You can only do this in very few places. Is actually go anti-clockwise around a roundabout in the UK. Now, interestingly enough, the design was actually copied, and I think there's one in where is it? Berkhamsted? Aylesbury. Is it Aylesbury? There's another one in Aylesbury. I think there might be 2 others, but it is completely unique. And in fact, you can't modify unique actually, so you can't say something completely unique, can you? You can't. It's like saying universes. Can you say universes? Yeah, you can say that actually. Yeah, the thing about reading New Scientist is they frighten you with things that you never thought you could be frightened with before. And the latest thing they'll be saying is that this is a new one in New Scientist, is that there might be another universe, right, expanding somewhere near our universe, and it's going to take over our universe. And I thought, global warming was a worry. That we're all going to be winked out of existence just like that. So it is a great magazine, New Scientist. And it's really good if you want to appear intelligent without really being very intelligent like me. So you read New Scientist and you just sort of throw a few things into the conversation. So it's quite good. Okay, so that's the fire station ahead of us. They're actually permanent firemen rather than the guest firemen that you get round our way, where you really wouldn't want to, have a fire. It's going to let go. Look at that. So that was very exciting, and I always tell my children, whenever, my younger children, not Tabitha because she can't hear, these towers that you see in the back of fire brigade things, like for those circus acts where they jump into a very small bucket of water, and that's why it's actually a diving board, and you can't actually see any swimming pool anywhere. It's when they dive into a paddling pool, and that's where they practice it. Mind you, I also tell my children that that maracas are filled with children's teeth. And that's where the fairies, you see, they give you 20p for your tooth, and then they sell them to the people that make the maracas. And that's why maracas are very expensive. And I don't think they still believe me, but they're getting quite old now, actually. So what have we got here? A bit of demolition going on. This used to be the Ford garage, but it's now no longer. Oh, right. Thank you, John. Oh, right, okay, so if we look over to our right in a sec, we'll see the interesting double helix garage, which was the Frank Lloyd Wright actually came to Swindon in 1925, interestingly enough, and he saw this double helix, because in fact it is a double helix. The up ramp and the down ramp don't actually meet, so you can actually go up and down and not beat yourself if you were to drive fast enough. But Frank Lloyd Wright saw that, and he thought that would be a great idea, actually, for a museum in New York. So he devised the Guggenheim, which is a total rip-off of... yeah, he never had one good idea, really. He just nicked all his ideas. You know, falling water was... he saw some falling water in Swindon, and he thought, oh, I could make a house called Falling Water. You see, total rip-off. Anyway, so there it is. It actually was originally built, if memory serves, to study conservation of momentum by a scientist whose name I can't recall, and he used to actually roll balls down it in the 17th century. It's very early, in fact. That's not true, I just made that up. But it's on the website. And behind here, this is the financial sort of glossy district of Swindon, and if you were to go through into this place here, you would find the site where I think Lola Pavoon's statue should be, and where it is actually in the Seven Wonders of Swindon. Did I finish the story about my editor? Yeah, I think. Right, so what else have we got? Oh, Spec-Ops. Yeah, we'll do Spec-Ops. Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the genuine wonders of Swindon is something called the Railway Village. Because when Brunel was building this whole thing, you can't really see it. Can you see it? We might get a glimpse on the right. Yeah, can you see that parade just down there of light-coloured buildings? You didn't see that? Alright. You might see it again through here. Yeah. You see all those little low houses. That's called the Railway Village. And in the good old days, when huge industrialists used to look after, people who work... There you go, this is it. Yes. So this is all the Railway Village. So this huge half square mile here is full of houses that were built for the workers in the railway yards. Because, of course, since it was halfway here... Oh, the blossom's out, that's quite nice. Because the... Really? Yes. Have a little break. Yeah, because the works were here, and they used to build engines here right up until the 60s. In fact, if you meet anyone from Swindon, you could say to them, "Did your dad or mum work on the railways?" And they'd probably say something like, "No, my granddad did. He used to make engines." And they used to make engines right up until the 60s. No, maybe a little earlier, 50s. Steam didn't go out in Britain until steam shunting. Somebody would probably say I'm wrong here, but it was around about 68, 69. Steam shunting. When you consider that we landed on the moon in 69. Isn't that wonderful? Humans, they're so brilliant. Mind you, in China they still use steam engines, but I think they burned Chinese people on them, They're so mean to their workers. Isn't it incredible that the one place you can really exploit workers is the last communist nation on earth? That's a rather strange sort of thought, that, really, isn't it? You can really exploit them. Anyway, so this is the railway village. Oh, really? Do it? Yeah. Stretch our legs? Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to. Yeah? But if people want to, they can get out. If they don't want to, they don't have to. No? Was it Sir John Betjeman who wrote something about the railway village?
He wrote something about Oxford or Slough.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there was someone waxing lyrical about the railway village. It's actually very pretty, and you go in there and sort of wander up and down, and it's rather nice. But that's sort of one of the genuine wonders of Swindon, and that's about it, really. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Are there any other genuine wonders of Swindon?
There's the bar prices.
Oh, the bar prices.
That costs
Yeah.
a sort of one.
Manchester Road. What's in Manchester Road? Oh, is that the red light district? I didn't know that.
Thanks for that.
We don't need to know that. But it's Manchester Road, for anyone who might be interested in.
It's rough down there.
It's a bit rough there, Manchester Road. Okay, we might go down there. Maybe we should go down there.
Well, we went to the end of it.
Oh, did we? Oh, really? Oh, that's Manchester Road. Oh, okay, there you go. So anyway, so you all know now, anyone? Right, okay.
Right, that it?
Okay, that's it.
Back to town, yeah?
Yeah. So, on our, let's see.
We'll go round that way, or?
Where's the map?
There used to be a canal running through Swindon as well. It's very difficult to find, but you can sometimes you can actually find the roads, the name of the roads, you know, Wharf Road and places like that, and you can just about figure out where it is. It goes through the old Brunel Centre, if anyone's been around Swindon, knows Swindon at all. And you go into the Brunel Centre, which is the major shopping area right in the middle here, and there's this rather sad-looking stone lion on a plinth. And if you look at old pictures of Swindon, you can actually find that it was originally I think in the top of a shop or a pub or something like that, and then it was moved somewhere else. It's been moved about 8 times, but you can see it in all these successive photographs. But I think the canal used to run about one road up from this, in a sort of parallel to us. And it was one of those things where it didn't last very long because, of course, the railways came along, and the council actually sort of let it silt up so that it could be filled in and used as to build on. But now they're thinking of reopening it, the Wiltshire Canal, because they generated so much huge amount of tourism and cash. This used to be, on our right here, this used to be the museum, the railway museum. It used to have a couple of engines inside it. It doesn't anymore. And I think Kenneth Institute. Looks like an old theatre with the flies behind it. Looks like it's listed. Belfry. Got a belfry, yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's listed. But again, part of the.
You see this coming?
So all this is still part of the railway village. So you've got all the buildings and everything, and Mechanics Institute, the whole lot. Yeah, it's a huge, great complex. Unfortunately, and luckily, it's actually all a protected site. So I don't think anyone's going to faff around with it as they do. So all this is all part of it. It's rather sweet, really. And there's a little park on the left where you take the air after a hard day's mechanicking. I've never been down this road. This is very exciting. So, why choose Swindon as a location for the Thursday books? Good question. The simple answer is why not? And I think I have lots of sort of tenets I go by when I'm writing. And one of them is take the less well-trodden path, which is, I think, a good advice for anyone, actually, to do anything, really, to be honest. And when I was thinking of a place to set the stories, it would be too obvious to use London or Bristol. Bristol, which is, well, I mean, it was good for Eddie Shoestring, but that was about it, really.
Third world country, isn't it?
What?
Third world country.
Third world country, Bristol. Well, you can argue amongst yourselves. So anyway, I thought, well, why Bristol or London? Why not use a provincial town where everyone regards as a kind of bit of a joke town? And Swindon is regarded as sort of shorthand as a joke town. A bit like sort of Ipswich, and I don't know, Harlow Newtown or something like that, or Slough. Actually Slough really is pretty bad. So I thought, well, I'll just set it in Swindon, set the books in Swindon, but instead of actually using Swindon as a joke and saying, ho ho, isn't it crap, I'd actually say, no, it's really exciting and dynamic, and there's nothing that can't happen there. So that's what I did. These are the old works on our right. These are the old railway works, and it's now a what do they call them? Outlet centres. But they're tremendous things, and because they're engine maintenance sheds, you go in there and they got all the overhead cranes and everything. It's very Boise, and they're full of rivets, and I'm very fond of old things held together with rivets. So like my mother, who had a new hip the other day, so she's now held together with rivets. So that's kind of, so makes me love her even more. There you go. And this is they're trying to copy the style, aren't they, of the railway village? But it doesn't quite work, does it? Anyway, so rather than use Swindon as a sort of me making fun of Swindon, I thought, no, let's actually make it, you know, exciting and wonderful, and where there's nothing that can't happen. I live quite close to it. But the reason I actually chose it is because in about 1981, I was runner on a film called The Champions, which was the Bob Champion story about how he and Aldeniti went on to win the Grand National in about 76 or something, because Bob Champion had cancer and Aldeniti, the horse, had broke her leg or something like that. Anyway, they went on to win the Grand National. So we were filming on the Lambourne Downs, and I used to come into Swindon in 1982 when it was a lot grimmer. The whole of Britain was a lot grimmer then, and doing the photocopying. And I thought, oh, I've got to set a book here. So, 15 years later, I did. So that's the story. So what? Oh, that's pretty much it. Got these ones pretty tough. Actually, interestingly enough, I do actually have some people on the Swindon Planning Authority who read my books, and they rang me up the other day. They didn't ring me up; they actually met me, and they said, "Oh, you cut it out," and they said, "Would you mind if I named some streets after characters in your books?" And I went, no, of course I wouldn't mind, you know, what am I going to say? No, how dare you? And in the north of Swindon, where they're doing a lot of building, there is in fact a Thursday Street, a Mycroft Place, a Havisham Way, what's the other ones? I can't remember, we should have gone round there really, shouldn't there? No, there isn't a Park Lane Lane. No, that would be good, wouldn't it? That would be good. Yeah. Pickwick, is Pickwick close? I don't know, I'll have to have a look. But yeah, they've been doing a lot of building up the north, so yeah, so you can actually live in Thursday Street, which would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Yeah. If you're going to live in, if you're going to live in Swindon. Oh really? Yeah.
It's just a big town in Chelsea.
Oh right, no, see it is, it's real. It's really real, yeah, actually, yeah.
See the man's taking it away on Monday.
I do.
Oh, that's good, man.
And then Tim Roth joined the Fish Brothers, and they came up with Fish Rothers. So now we're coming back into the exciting West Swindon. We didn't see the F. Murray Abraham killing Mozart building, did we? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Although it's the tallest building, it's not quite tall enough to be exciting. Oh, and there's a stretch, stretch Hummer, just going on there to our left. Look, ridiculous. They actually they had to make all the roundabouts bigger when the stretch Hummer arrived. I think the guy who owned the stretch Hummer was actually the nephew of the planner, or the guy who makes roundabouts. I think this truck is quite something, I must say. It's the sort of thing that you'd go on an excursion in 1932. Well, bus. Excuse me, bus. When was it made?
1947.
1947. Oh, it's a modern thing. Yeah. So you'd go on a works outing to the seaside. Me, I don't remember it. No. Yeah, and you'd all sing songs and stuff, and then get back to the grime of the factory. Post austerity Britain, 1947 would be great. A bit like living in the Soviet Union. In fact, I think the whole Soviet experiment should have been done in Britain, and then we wouldn't have, after the war, and then we wouldn't have noticed, because we're a very sort of compliant nation as a whole. If we were told we could have 1 carrot a week to eat, we'd probably go, well, mustn't grumble, and it would have been fine, and the Soviet system would have worked in Britain. In fact, I think some parts of Britain are still running under that system. Okay, we do have some speed cameras here, but I don't think there's any chance of triggering them. It says 40, but I don't think that's an order. I think you're just not allowed to go above it. the person who designed this part of Swindon is the same person who designed Milton Keynes, which is another modern city just north of London. And there it's a grid system, and it's all roundabouts and grids, and you can't see anyone from any of the roads. And if you want to cycle to work, you can actually do it without going next to a single road, which is quite nice. But it does mean that when you're on the roads, of course, you can't see where you're going, and you have to actually go by a grid system of D5. You go to roundabout D5, and then you go down A7, and then you go to B6. It's very. I prefer names, you know, Ploughman's Road and, you know, Frog Lane. It's much more fun, you know. Tewkesbury Way, so that's much nicer. That I did stab in my angry mood at Tewkesbury. Bit of Richard III for you there. Is that the Renault? That's not the Renault. That's a big something. Yeah, there's a Norman Foster design, an old Renault building, which we didn't go past, which is actually quite sort of interesting in an industrial archaeology sort of way. It looks a lot like that, only a lot better. And it was the Renault head office. And now I think we're going back to the hotel. Shore Ridge. You need a bigger steering wheel, doesn't it? It could be like another driver's hand. Yeah, so of course if you get bored of the Fforde Ffiesta, you can always go bowling across the road there, or go to the cinema. So, is there still a cinema? Oh, there is a cinema, yeah. It used to be Virgin Cinemas, and the story goes that Richard Branson bought the chain and changed them into Virgin Cinemas because he realised he could make more money selling fizzy water if he owned the cinemas. So in fact he didn't make very much money through ticket sales, but he made a huge amount of money through selling Virgin Coca-Cola. But he doesn't do that anymore, he gets bored and moves on. Anyway, so here we are back at the De Vere Hotel. So thank you very much, I hope you enjoyed the tour, and we'll be seeing you again later. Thank you, and thank you, a big hand for our driver.